All right, 10 o'clock, which means a couple different things on Tuesdays. It means that it's time for the hydration break, brought to us by our friends at local Vine Beer, Wine, and Liquor stores, 2 locations here. And feel free to hydrate as you wish. Let me bring Kacey D in so she can hydrate with us. And Johns Creek and Cumberland, they got big stores. So please hydrate away.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Mm-hmm. Hydrating away. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yes, we believe in proper hydration with our guests and at all times. So first off, how was Texas?
It was fantastic. I loved it. Did you follow along? It was so fun.
I did. And I imagine that the Letterman jacket was worn for about 7 seconds, long enough just to take the picture and put the Letterman jacket back, considering it was about 120.
A little longer than that. And we actually were supposed to have an on-camera pregame hit. I had it with me for the pregame hit.
Oh.
And then about an hour and a half or so before, English didn't need a hit anymore. Spanish only needed a hit for La Previa. So didn't have it, but I do have it today.
There you go.
So I was like, I got to show you my big old
Class
of 2002, baby.
Yes.
All my basketball state patches. Because I played basketball and ran track.
I was going to say, when you played hoops, were you the point guard that had the monster 3, or what was your game?
Good question. I had the 3. I was really good defensively as well. Lots of steals for layups and a little point guard assist distribution action. My mom was a college basketball player, so that was always my other sport. And so I did that. And then they convinced me to run track my last year. We didn't have soccer, so it made sense to do it some more sports.
That's un-American not to have soccer.
I know. It was a really small private school back in the late 90s. We just didn't have it, and they still don't actually, which is a little bit crazy. But that was my jacket for Friday Night Lights. That's what I wore.
As it should have been. And so what did they have you do in track?
So mostly like the middle and long distance.
Okay.
I could do the 100 and 200 and things like that, but we had enough people and no one wanted to run long distance. So I did the 800, the 1600, and I did the 4x4. I anchored the 4x4. So, and then funny story, they asked me, I'd never done it, like a week before districts, can you do pole vault and high jump? And I was like, sure. Of course I can throw myself with a pole over, a bar.
Oh.
So I practiced for like a week just to get us points at district. And it wasn't the most inspiring height for pole vault that I ever did, but it was a fun little fact.
Wow. Pole vault, man, you're braver than I am. I'll tell you that right now.
It was fun.
KCD talking about nothing in soccer until now. So that's how we do an intro. Like 5 minutes, you get hydrated. We talk about track and everything else. You spent a lot of time in Austin in the last week. You got to see a lot of barbecue, hopefully, over at Terry Black's, like you and I are talking about. And what has gotten into Austin under Davy Arnaud?
I think we're the good luck charms, or maybe it's Davy Arnaud. What a great guy and tactical mind to talk to. I really enjoyed speaking with Davy this week. Austin needed a fresh start, I think. And okay, people thought they could get that after the World Cup break. Didn't really happen. They played Houston. They looked good for the first 20, 25 minutes and proceeded to lose 3-0 in defending transition goals. And then they played Colorado. And Davey even said they didn't play well. They didn't build well. They didn't look like themselves. It was not a good performance overall. So then Leagues Cup comes along and they've looked fantastic. And I don't think, the teams that they've played aren't the top teams out of Liga MX. We know that, but they are going to have a real test coming up. But they need the confidence piece to score some goals, to feel fluid. So while the wins were good, it was more how they played and how confident they looked, how their movement was. It was really fun to watch.
They took care of business against Xolos and Puebla. And no, to your point, the rankings of those sides in Liga MX are not high, but nevertheless, you're still getting wins with an interim head coach and one of the DPs that you have been waiting. If you're a fan in Austin, you've been sitting there and you're looking at the money that they're dropping on Mirto Uzuni, and you're sitting there going, okay, when's my ROI? It's like you're a banker all of a sudden. Where's my return? Where's my return on investment? And last time out with Austin, you got to see, at least in a microcosm that folks are hoping, is the beginning of that return on investment with Mirto Uzuni.
100%. 3 goals in that game, the hat trick in 34 minutes, an assist in the first game on the first goal. And he's in really nice form the last 2 games. I love the way he played. He was all over the place. And it reminded me of players that always would say, well, I never get the ball. The team's not getting me the ball. Well, go get the ball then. And that's what he did. A free kick happened. I'm going to be stepping up here. A corner kick was drawn up for him. He delivered. But in the run of play, he was working hard. He was in really nice pockets, and also defensively did the work to dispossess that started a lot of the possessions that helped them go forward. So he had an all-around great game in both of those games.
And you mentioned with Davy Arnaud and defensively, what does Davy Arnaud want his Austin FC to do out there offensively and defensively? Stylistically, what do you see in them, and what does he want them to do?
Coordinated movement and the attack is really important. So movement off the ball, second and third player runs. Austin did really well in these 2 games with the change of point. So with Uzuni, to your point, playing really well, he was tucked more inside, and he's done that some, but he was having to play the 9 a little bit more with Vasquez being out. Now he's tucked into that left-sided 10 position, so he kind of pulls the strings. So in that attacking group, they want you to switch the point and be able to get in on the opposite side. That's something that they layered in really well on the attacking side. What was interesting defensively was they changed the way they played from the first game versus Tijuana to the second game versus Puebla. They changed completely different systems based on the opposition.
Uzuni in the game with the hat trick, and we'll go through as many of the goals as you want since I have them. Full 90, 30 of 32 passing, 94%, had the 3 shots on target. Magically, they all go into the back of the net. So his accuracy was at 100%. 2 defensive contributions, 47 touches, 3 touches inside the 18, successful dribble. Defensive contributions, he had 2. He had a tackle and a pick and 4 recoveries. He was 4 of 8 on ground duels and was fouled twice. And that was the day for Mirto Uzuni. The starting lineup I thought was interesting, and it was John Gallagher, who, with his time in Atlanta United, we've seen him play at the back, but he was one of those 3 at the back for Arnaud. It was Biro, Svatok, and Gallagher at the back, 2 in front of them, Sabovich and Torres. Then you had Rosales, Mirto Uzuni, Wolf, and Torres, and then you had Ramirez up top. How to see John Gallagher at the back? It basically was what it would be a 5-3-2, 3-5-2, however it would be. How did this look to you?
So in the previous game, it was a 5-2-3 with Gallagher as one of the wing backs. This was a defensive shift. So we still showed the system as a 3-2-4-1 in how they build with the ball. Yeah. It was actually a 4-4-2 defensively. Gallagher was an out and out outside back, and Joseph Rosales came all the way back as the left back. So it became 2 blocks of 4. This was a difference. It was to deal with an overload that happens off the left side for Puebla, and it completely shut it down. Gallagher, obviously, being one of the 3 center backs in the attack, wasn't getting forward. His percentage of responsibility was more defensive. But when they were in their defensive role, he was more in his natural position from a defensive standpoint, just 1 player less in the back.
All right, so I have all 3 Mirto Uzuni goals that are ready for your audio and your analysis. You can pick each one. We can go through each one, or were there ones that stood out over the others? Your call.
Let's go quick through each, just because honestly, the main point was how he scored in 3 different ways. So I think it's interesting to kind of take a look at that.
All right, so let's go through all 3. We'll play them kind of back to back to back here, and then we'll go with the analysis. Here is goal number 1, which happened early on as Kacey continues to hydrate, as she should.
Here in just the 4th minute, it'll be Facu Torres standing over it along with the left foot of Rosales, who was absolutely magnificent on Thursday night. And it will be Uzuni. He hit it. And he hit it so well. Torres, Mirto has done it again. And Austin with a super start here in the Texas Capitol. 1-0.
It's a dream start for Austin FC to come in the first 4 minutes of the game and to push how they're going to play in combination in the attack.
And that's goal number 1. So now, because we got the first one, we go to the second one. So here's the second goal, and you'll recognize one of the two voices. The other's Christian Miles, because it's Christian and KCD on Apple TV.
Here's Besart Sabovic, the Swede, now picking out Wolf, who drifts between the lines. It's Ramirez, backheeled in. It is sexy football of the highest order. He's done it again. More magic from Mirto, and Austin absolutely dynamite. 2 goals in 8 minutes. It's the Verde and Black 2, Puebla 0.
This is exactly what coordinated movement does. When one run goes before the pass, and then you have a second runner, a third runner off the ball, it absolutely picks apart defenses. Watch the center backs in white. As Christian Ramirez makes this run behind, the center back...
That's number 2, so that means it's 2 down, 1 to go. Here's the Hattie.
Faces this year after his move over from Palmeiras. Whipped all the way across, and he overhit it, sits on the volley. Oh, it's spectacular! The hat trick hero, magical Mirto Uzuni. It's Austin 3, Puebla 0, lights out in Texas.
Mirto Uzuni has come to play tonight, and he's absolutely putting on a show. Everyone in this area runs to the near post space, and he is...
Yeah. All right, so 3 for 3. And the first goal, gorgeous set piece. And you've got to have real control to get it around the wall to make sure it goes into the near post.
I have to give Uzuni credit first on this, and you'll see why I'm saying that here in a bit, because I'll go to my second point. The way this bit outside the post and whipped back in, unreal technical execution from him. On top of that, the recognition of where the wall was set, that he was going to be able to do that. The wall was not set properly, and it was a little too inside the post. So most of the time when you set a wall, it's off the second person's like middle of their head plus a person. Because what that does is it covers bending outside the post and coming back in on that side. Because they were a little bit tucked inside, he didn't have to whip it as far outside the post and had the ability to bring it back. So not to take away from the technical execution, because it was still having to be whipped around. It still had to curve back in, and it was incredible execution. It wasn't exactly how it should be. When you have set pieces in the middle of the goal, it's hard to know where to set the wall off of. It was probably about that much difference that allowed the opening for him to be spectacular in that moment.
Now, I'm going to have to use that as a guidepost from now on when you're discussing how folks are going to be in a wall. Basically, you draw a line right down the center of a person's head. That's where the post is, and then they need to have someone off of their shoulder, right?
Between the ball and the post, right down the middle, yes. And some people slightly do it one way or the other, or they might have some different pieces, but it's how many numbers do you have in the wall, and that's usually how it's set, is a player and a half, because it protects against most people being able to whip it outside the wall. And if you take a look, it was just the one person on the outside was just even with the post, actually.
And if you go back, I think there is a ground level shot that shows that in the replay where they're off by that little, and then you see the opening that's there. It's
so hard, John, because I'm such a coach mind that that's the first thing I want to address, but it's a spectacular finish at the same time. You sometimes get away with that because we're talking about a difference of 2 or 3 inches. It's not a whole lot, but it is the margin. And I have to remember to give the player credit as well.
But this is why I like to break this stuff down with you. And this is why you need to have your whiteboard. And this is why I personally, selfishly, we need to have you indoors for these game days so you can break this stuff down and discuss this, because that is a thing. A game is a game of inches. We always use that cliche. That's $1 in the jar for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you bring that up and you're looking at a fine margin of basically half a head, and the ball and another person is the difference in it being 1-0, and then it maybe being wide of the near post in that situation. Now, this is why I like to have you here, because you could break this stuff down this way so folks can understand why something happened the way that it did.
No, I appreciate that. It's like basically if you're standing behind the ball, like when they have a forward set the wall, or like they give the camera look at the ball, just look at the post and see where the wall is set. What player is it off of? And it should be that second player down the middle.
Goal 2, what happened here other than a bit of filth in an assist?
Sabovic gets the ball, breaks the line. It was good combination play in the right channel. And then the darting run of Ramirez. I liked what Ramirez did. He played well and hold up, but his movement was good as well, where that ball could have been played inside, but it was played into his feet. A lot of times you'll see forwards just keep possession there and then recycle it back out. But because of what Azuni does, and he runs off of Ramirez, he has that little bit of flair to flick it on, and Azuni flies through the box. It was just a matter of beating his player to the box. But in their system, because he's tucked inside Mirto Azuni, he's a little closer to the center forward. So it was a really nice combination through the right side.
And the third one, to me, it seemed like it was one of the more difficult pieces of control that you could have. And if I'm remembering everything correctly, ball is over at the near post and left-hand side of the attack, inside left channel or left channel. And you see this rush of defenders. Basically, it seemed like the entire roster worked its way over to the near post to try to prevent a cross. And Uzuni's just kind of camped out, and no one's in his zip code. But to get the ball to him and to have the command to volley it the way that he did from, I guess, about 15?
Yeah, it was probably between 15 and 17 yards. It was actually off a corner kick service, so it wasn't even a cross. It was corner kick. So the organization of Puebla was not there. A guy already has 2 goals. What are we doing? Like, why is he the one player left open? I think I would roll the dice in a different way if I was them. But Facundo Torres just lofts it up, and you'll see, if you watch it, 3-4 players of Austin run towards the near post area. They're all being marked, and it just floats over the top of all of them. So I think in part of my goal call, I said this is off the training ground, is leave someone open, have everyone run and draw defenders, give that person as much space as possible. That being said, not everyone can connect with the ball like Azuni did, and he didn't go for power. He wanted good connection, and he wanted to guide it into a post, and that's exactly what he did.
Yep. So 3 for 3, Austin gets the win. And you look at the standings, and obviously this is the chaos, I think, that the League's Cup organizers in their hermetically sealed large conference room with the glass from floor to ceiling, and the doors that shut, and they have them all the monitors on. This is what they were hunting for. Half of the teams in Liga MX are out the door. They can't make it to the round of 8, and only 2 MLS teams have been eliminated going into match day 3, which is insane to me to think about.
It is. It's kind of staggering when you look at the 2 standings, the 2 tables of like the lack of elimination versus how many teams have been eliminated. To your point, the MLS has shown up and done extremely well and taking care of business, but it means there's all to play for in this third game. So as good as Austin FC has played, and teams like an FC Dallas as well that I was on, like getting 2 wins, it could all be for nothing. So those teams really need to at least get a tie, but that might not even be enough at this point. They might be having all 4 teams advance with 3 wins. It's a real possibility.
How many Liga MX sides did you get to call with Christian?
3 different sides. So I had Querétaro versus FC Dallas, Tijuana, and then Club Puebla.
What were your takeaways from Liga MX, from style of play and teams that you got to sample? What was it like to see Liga MX teams when you're normally seeing Major League Soccer club?
It was interesting because Querétaro actually had some really nice moments against FC Dallas at times. FC Dallas came out pretty flat in the first half, and so they really changed things. It's one of those halftime talks I could just imagine. It was like, what are we doing? Like, let's go. Like a little more motivational than anything, with maybe a few tweaks here and there.
Eric's throwing his hat at them and going.
Literally. He probably had an extra hat ready to go because he had to get rid of one. But yeah, so that changed, but definitely possession oriented, and teams that like to, like Tijuana, love to defend and stay in games. So they at times would go to a back 6, and it would be like a 6 3-1 defensively at times. Sometimes it was a 5-back. Davy Arnaud was completely prepared for that, because when you look back at the Clausura in 2026, they had 8 draws, which was tied for the most. Only 2 teams had that many draws. What that tells me is they stay in games. So that was a completely different type of challenge for Austin, as opposed to Puebla, who tried to come out and play a little bit more. The thing that helped Austin in that game versus Tijuana was the fact that they scored early. So scoring in the first 15, 16 minutes, you automatically bring a team out. They have to come out a little bit. So it broke up that defensive structure. So possession, organized defensively, but no real bite in the attacking third from the 3 teams that I saw.
A back 6, that just seems like you're taking every bus in the garage or every train that you've seen. It's like literally you've gone to the Amtrak station and you're like, I need to rent you, and you're just like, pfft. A back 6 seems like it's almost impossible to go up against.
It's so difficult because your width is completely covered. They have not 1 extra center back to cover, but 2 on each side. So it makes it incredibly hard to deal with. And what you have to do is try to catch them in transition, because it wasn't a team that just sat back the whole time. They did get numbers forward to transition, and they had players that could do that. The goal that Austin scored was in a bit of a transition moment. Azuni got it. He turned to his right and clips it over the far side to Rosales coming on, who was playing inverted off the right because he's left-footed. Mm-hmm. He snuck in behind before that 6th defender could get back, and it went right over the top, scored a great goal. So you have to be real creative in transition moments of how you break them down.
Yeah. What's the next match that you're calling?
I'm actually calling UNC Fairfield to kick off the season for my local UNC broadcast for ACC Digital. So that's supposed to be tomorrow. It might get moved to Thursday because of some travel weather things. So that'll be fun because I have UNC again next week for ESPNU. Mm-hmm. But I go to Colorado this weekend for Major League Soccer for regular season.
Okay, because this is where your schedule compresses, because you get to be, I think, one of the lead voices for the ACC coverage this year, which was really cool. We saw that press release come across our desk. And we know that there's going to be shades of blue in a lot of your on-camera, stuff. We know that's going to happen. How much studying have you done? And have you just kind of cursory looked at the ACC and what you're anticipating this year?
I landed at 5 p.m. last night. So I will say I haven't really dug into everything. I've done my boards. I've got my players ready for the game. I haven't spoke to the coaches, which I will be doing today. So not a lot as far as the matchup, but a lot as far as the ACC play. Speaking to a couple of the different coaches, I grabbed coffee with one of the local coaches, with Kieran Hall with Duke, and he brought me to the Duke campus, which I thought was a little rude, I wore some Carolina blue as I went to the Duke campus. It was fun.
There you go.
I've spoken to some of the coaches and calling a lot of games last year, understanding the turnover and things like that. But I'm excited for ACC play. There are so many good teams, so it's hard to predict, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and so our college coverage actually started earlier this morning. We dipped into the SoCon a little bit, and we're going to try and cover as many schools as we possibly can in our footprint, and we know that we have you as a reference point of the ACC. When you look back at the 25 season for the ACC, what sticks out in your head coming into 26?
An overarching thing that I think about is like a Florida State who ended up winning it. We know over the last decade or longer, they have been one of the perennial winners that has always been in and around the conversation. But what I liked about last year is about midway through the season, they weren't at the top of even the ACC. And Brian Pinsky told me, we have a decision to make, and it's now on the players. Who do we want to be? And what that reminds me of is that in the ACC, it's so competitive that someone who was struggling in the middle of the ACC season can win a national championship. That's what I love about the ACC. It's what I loved as a player. And we have a lot of other great conferences, but the ACC remains one of those conferences that you get tested week in and week out from an RPI perspective, and then you're prepared for the tournament. And so I think that's very exciting. Duke's going to have a chip on their shoulder a little bit, getting to the Final Four and feeling like, okay, they left something on the table. That'll be a lot of fun to watch as well.
Yep. ACC coming up around the corner. You've got your non-conference schedules that are going to be coming fast and furious, and you've got Colorado hosting Sporting Kansas City at Dick's Sporting Goods Park this weekend. So, do you have your calendar all orchestrated? How many different?
Oh my gosh, it's like a beautiful mind. I seriously think of Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover with like all the numbers above his head. That's me, but with like dates and like travel plans. I got my ESPN schedule for the fall about a week or two ago. Yes, that's exactly it. I got that through, however many months that is. And then MLS just sent me the rest of my schedule through decision day pretty much.
Wow.
So I have not booked all my travel. That is a Kacey thing for this week. But it has all been added to my calendar. And let's just say Owen's going to want a lot of extra treats when I'm home because this poor fella, he's not really bothered right now. He's just sitting down below me. But this poor fella is going to have me traveling a decent amount. But luckily, I have such a great community around me that loves Owen, so that helps.
Yes, and so he's going to look at you every time you come back in and sit there and go,
and ESPN keeps me here sometimes. I go to Duke, I go to State, I go to Carolina. So that does help a little bit.
Sir, Rowdy, hey, don't do that. He's doing boy dog things.
We'll do a mid-season check-in with Owen. We'll bring him up here and see how he's holding up.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like we need to do an Owen check-in. As always, it's great to see you. Glad you got to go home and catch up with folks and have a boatload of incredible barbecue. And I saw the pictures. I saw that you got to catch up with Jill Montgomery when you were in Austin as well.
Did you see my box that I had to stand on? I've never had to do that.
Absolutely.
I've never had to do that in a stadium.
The Apple box that is there, literally, figuratively, and literally as well. It's great to see you, my friend. Glad you made it back home safe. And you know that we'll be catching up with you every single Tuesday that your schedule will allow. Otherwise, we'll float and we'll catch up that way. Go enjoy your morning. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Great to see you.
Sounds good. Have a good morning. Bye.
There goes Kacey D. And where she be? She be busy as all you know what.